أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So this is our first session on commentary for the verse Kulu washrabu wa la tusrifu, eat and drink but do not waste. We went through 4 points that are mentioning this meaning of this verse, interpretation of this verse. Today we will study the 5th point. If there is any point that you would like to highlight from last week. Let's see if from sister's side, anybody wants to mention anything from last week that stayed with you. No? You don't remember? Okay, let's go at the 5th point then. Okay, let's go at the 5th point. So who is going to read us 5th point? Omar, would you like to read? Would you like to read? Sure. 5th point. You don't? No. Ahmed, do you have it open? Okay. We are reading 19th flash, 5th point. Flashes, 19th flash, 5th point.
Out of his perfect generosity, Almighty God makes a poor man understand the pleasure of his bounty, the same as a rich man, and a beggar the same as a king. Indeed, the pleasure a poor man obtains from a dry piece of black bread because of hunger and being frugal is greater than the pleasure a king or a rich man obtains from the choicest pastries consumed with the weariness and lack of appetite resulting from excess. It is surprising, but some dissolute, extravagant people accuse the frugal and economical of being mean and stingy. God forbid. Frugality is dignity and generosity. Stinginess and meanness are the interface of the apparently noble qualities of the wasteful and extravagant. There is an event corroborating this which occurred in my room in Sparta the year this treatise was written. It was as follows. One of my students insisted on accepting, contrary to my rule and lifelong principle, a present of nearly 2.5 okas of honey. However much I reiterated my rule, he was not to be persuaded. So I told the 3 brothers who were with me to take it, saying that by being economical, they would eat the honey for 30 to 40 days in the months of Shaban and Ramadan, and not lack something sweet to eat, and the one who brought it would earn the reward. I myself had an oka of honey as well. Although my 3 friends were moderate and appreciated frugality, because they offered the honey to each other and flattered each other's souls, and each preferred to the others to himself, which in one respect is a good quality, they forgot about being economical. They finished the 2.5 okas of honey in 3 nights. Laughing, I said, I would have given you the taste of that honey for 30 to 40 days, but you have reduced the 30 days to 3. I hope you enjoyed it. I consumed my 1 oka of honey frugally. For the whole of Shaban and Ramadan, both, I ate it, and praise be to God, every evening while breaking the fast, I gave each of those brothers a spoonful, and it became the means of significant reward. Perhaps anyone who saw my doing this thought it was stinginess, and what my brothers did for 3 nights was generosity. But in point of fact, I perceived that concealed beneath the apparent stinginess lay an elevated dignity, increase and plenty, and great reward. If they had not stopped, it would have led to something much worse than stinginess beneath the generosity and excess, like beggarliness and watching another's hand greedily and expectantly.
Jazakallah khairan. So, inshallah, we will talk about that. But before we start discussing this, I would like to highlight something. So from the very beginning, authors started speaking more general, like more so laying down some foundation, I would say even theoretically, if you like. He was coming up with a description of what frugality means. And frugality was defined as being respectful to the bounties that are given. But now, as we come to fourth, fifth, sixth points, we are starting to talk about practicalities. Because during last week's discussion, there was some mentioning of frugality has nothing to do with the magnitude, the amount of thing. It's more so how you take things, how you interpret things. But Brother Birkan made an addendum to that way of saying it. In theory, yes, it does not really. It's more about how you consider the thing itself. It's not about eating more, eating less, and whatnot. But eventually, when it comes to practicality, it boils down to magnitude as well. This is why now we are coming to the fifth point, and he is giving an example from something very practical, if you like, toy example, from eating honey, something sweet. And just to give an update with the language, when he says 2 okkas, this simply means somewhere around 2 kilos, somewhere around there. So 2 kilos of honey were gifted, and 3 people finished it in 3 nights. And he was saying that I was planning for you to consume it through Shaban and Ramadan, like almost 2 months, but you reduced this to 3 days. But then he has his own honey, which is around 1 kilo. Now, 4 people benefit from this for 2 months. So this is more or less, I guess, the gist of the story. What do you think? Yes.
I think it's impressive that they were able to eat that much honey in that little of a time. But it's very hard to relate to that. Like, how do you eat that much honey? You know, like I very much agree with Imam Nursi saying that a spoonful would have been fine. So, is this just again a toy example that he made, or is this a real occurrence where they did they actually eat like?
Yeah. I
6
mean,
kilograms
this is a real example. Yeah. So they real. I mean, probably, yeah. Yeah, especially if it's a real honey. I mean, unlike the ones that are being sold here, the real honey is good to eat. So. But yeah, I mean, probably they didn't have cheesecake, or I mean, other type of sweets that we normally consume. Since we are eating so many other stuff, when it comes to honey, we say, okay, just 1 spoon is enough. Imagine you live in a world where there is no sweets, probably. Yeah, bread and honey. See, here's an old school person. Yeah. Now you can read it as somebody gifts you, I don't know, what's the name of it? This chocolates. No, this yellowish gold covered chocolate that's being sold, Ferrero Rocher or something like this comes. So you have 40 of them. Okay, if you would like to make the example more applicable to yourself, somebody gifts you that 40 thingies. And then how do you consume that? Apparently for author, he says, I mean, it feels like we will, let's say, Maryam and I, we will split it into 2. You will eat half, I will eat half every day. And for 40 days, we are going to eat this. Since we have 40, but 2 of us, half. I mean, I'm saying it half so that it sounds like this, because eating with a teaspoon of honey is really small. So how does it sound? Does it sound like stinginess? Okay. Any idea? Yes. Ahmed came, pass the mic.
I guess I'm a bit confused because I don't think it's stingy either, but I can't imagine it either because I think like the concept of just consuming honey, for example, like I think my thought process is like consume honey the first 2 3 days and then forget about it, like and just like look for something else versus like be dedicated to that honey for a really long time too. Because I also think like um how is it different if they didn't want the honey? Like, what if you consume the honey the first 3 days and then you were like, Alhamdulillah, that's all I'm given. So I finished my portion in the 3 days. Therefore, I'm not seeking something. So is that different? Because like there's something to be said about, yes, at least it seems like the person is extremely patient in just consuming that thing little over time versus like, well, this is all I got, it's done, but I'm not worried about getting more. So I don't
Okay.
know if the two matters.
Okay. So Tuzari.
I was actually thinking of that same thing. Like, what if you could be content with like finishing that honey in whatever amount of time, 3 days? And then I thought about myself and I was like, I don't think that's actually, at least it's not relatable to me because I'm like, I would still want more. Like, I'm just thinking about my favorite foods. Like, if I, trying to think of something, if I ate like, okay, nowadays I've gotten back into string cheese. So if I bought a packet of string cheese, I could eat like 4 or 5 of them in a day when I probably should only be eating one. And if I, eat too many in a day and I feel guilty about it, I'm like, oh man, I really shouldn't have done that. And then next day, it's the same thing. So I don't know. I feel like maybe that's where the stinginess comes in, is like you find yourself just wanting to keep accumulating more and maybe not like sharing it with others, or like buying less so that, or in fewer quantity so that others could have more of it. So you're like, I guess maybe hoarding it. Like, I know in the sense of, if we're thinking of like the quantity in terms of stinginess versus generosity, I guess.
Yes. Anything else? Like in terms of this, what I'm thinking about is I have what's it? Mm, in the office, I have dates and what was the other one? Them? Almonds. Almonds and dates in the office. So rather than lunch, I just eat almonds and dates. But I feel like as I am working it, if you put 3 times more, I will consume that. Or if you just sometimes I just put a restriction, okay, 3 dates and then I don't know, a handful of almonds, versus sometimes I just pour it and 10 of them comes out, and 2 handfuls. You cannot eat dates by themselves, of course, it's too sweet. Now I need 3 handful of almonds, and it goes. Like no matter how large you go, you put it goes. I keep eating. So the distinction that I'm realizing is my appreciation is changing. Like because after really 3 4, I'm not aware of what I'm eating. I'm not appreciating what I eat after a certain number, because it simply becomes more so this temporary taste. If I limit the number for myself, consciousness of what I'm consuming is higher. But once it becomes more, it's awareness, appreciation of it is diminishing. This is at least in my experience. And like to me, this honey example is a sweet example in the sense that when I was in high school, I used to go to some brother's house and we were having one-on-one discussion with him. He would take out a jar of honey from his like cabinet. It was special for him, apparently. He's just taking it out and he says his brewing tea, like herbal tea, brings it and then puts one to his tea, put 1 spoon to my tea. And I start feeling like this is something very important. Like normally, honey at home is just honey, you just eat it and continue your way. But still, this is a very sweet memory for me to see that honey was something special in this occasion. And when it is something that special, you start thinking about it, feeling about it. So in this regard, it's becoming more. Like less is becoming more in the sense that still its memory is with me after more than 20 years. But memory of more, which was at my home, we had a lot of honey, so much so that we didn't eat that. It was just becoming crystallized. Like it was so much that it's not being consumed, it's not being appreciated at all, and it gets crystallized. So that more was less because no appreciation of it for me from those days, of the honey that was at home, but the less honey was more. So there's this aspect of, but this being the practice, because this is something interesting from last week. And Sister Sarah is there. I mean, so like there was this comment of, if I do not eat them, how am I going to know my creator? Like this was because by making it less, as if, I mean, it is a case. It's a valid argument saying that I'm going to get to know my creator as sustainer, provider by consuming. Like if I don't consume, how am I going to know him as provider and sustainer, right? But here, the first paragraph is giving some sort of an equation for that. Out of his perfect generosity, Almighty God makes a poor man understand the pleasure of his bounty the same as a rich man, and a beggar the same as a king. Indeed, the pleasure a poor man obtains from a dry piece of black bread because of hunger and being frugal is greater than the pleasure a king or a rich man obtains from the choicest pastries consumed with the weariness and lack of appetite resulting from excess. Like, as long as the point is to get the pleasure of providing and sustaining, then the contribution of magnitude is questionable. At least let's put it this way. What do you think?
I don't.
You didn't understand. So you didn't understand either? Or you understood? So I am trying to understand the provider and sustainer, because really what is so what is the beauty? Let's give a small example, or maybe if somebody else would like to give an example, because I already talk too much. Somebody who understood what I tried to say, can you exemplify it? I will give it a try. Okay. So nobody understood. So, like for instance, you love your mom, and if I say, what makes you love your mom? And when that question is asked to me, among the warmest memories that I have is when my mom used to bring a cup of milk to my bed at my right before I sleep. She also cooked the best of the foods for me, but this small thing was manifestation of my mom's love and care more than hours she put into cooking the best of the foods. Because what is it that I love in my mom, like this warm and tender love and care? And at a moment of like sleep, right before sleep, the milk was the means of communicating this message more so than best of the foods that she cooked, because I was more needy of that at the time of sleep. At the end of the day, I am trying to understand the same message. My mom is a caring, merciful mother. She can convey this message with a cup of milk at night, or in my birthday, which we didn't celebrate, but there were, let's say, already 5 different dishes, and now she's cooking the 6th one. So which one conveys this message more? One of them, the first one, although magnitude was smaller, was better of a communicator for me. In both, the outcome would have been the same. This is why he says the beggar is going to enjoy a dry bread, maybe more than a king would enjoy baklava. Microphone was okay.
I actually was thinking why I'm having a harder time understanding this concept. I think it's just because like excess of food, like maybe many of us are not even used to thinking about food within the context of being provided unless like we fool ourselves because like you go, you eat, nobody's like depriving you of food. This is a very general assumption. So if you don't fall in that, ignore. But I think about me first and foremost, where like I'm not thinking about, oh, where's my breakfast coming from? I'm like, it's in the fridge. So like my provider is the fridge and the groceries that I go do, etc. So I've kind of taken up different gods that are going to provide me that food, whether it's me cooking it or the fridge providing it to me, the grocery shopping or whatever. So when you present this concept of like, are you appreciating and giving the owner its rightful, I guess, ownership over providing for you, the concept doesn't even click, to be honest, because like you've been kind of doing the exact same thing over and over again. And Ramadan is a good reflection of that, but not really. Ramadan has such excess of food too. Like you wait and you kind of just fall on food. So I think like maybe a month that was supposed to be a reminder of that. And frugality, it's kind of like in the opposite now. It's like celebration of food, like anything but what it represents in some way. So I think that's why I'm having personally a hard time understanding the concept.
Yes.
Maybe it's harder to understand the concept if you're comparing yourself to somebody else, but I think within your own experiences, maybe you can understand it. Like what came to my mind was when I first moved to here to West Philly, I would have to walk places or take the train. So that was kind of, I mean, it could be very inconvenient, especially if it's like cold outside. And I was doing that for like maybe a year and a half. And then one day, Brother Birkan, he gifted me his old bike. We won't say why he gave me that bike, but he had to let go of that bike. It was a little bit damaged. So he gave me his bike, and then having that bike was like such a big luxury. I feel like I can go anywhere in the city now. I have this bike. It's so easy to get around. This is so convenient, so nice. I'll go for rides for fun and stuff. So I was like, what a change in my life. What a big upgrade. Um, but then I was remembering like before I moved to West Philly, I had a car and I could use that car anytime. And I didn't really think that much of it. I was like, okay, I have a car, not a big deal. But then comparing this like relatively small thing, having a bike, uh, I like valued that so much more, and it meant so much more to me because it was something that was not in excess. It was something out of a need that I had, and I was using it after that need. So I was able to reflect on that and value it in a more meaningful way than when I was maybe mindlessly taking something for granted because okay, I always had this means of transport. It was there yesterday, it'll be there tomorrow. So I'm not even thinking about the value of that thing that I have. So I mean, I think we can all actually apply that to different experiences in our life. Even just thinking about like the weather, we maybe didn't appreciate the warmth we had one day, and then the next day is very cold, and then you're outside and you realize, wow, like uh, this is very hard to take. Or like I'm glad I have my jacket. I didn't realize the value of my jacket until right now when I need it. And I can see that like this is something that it really is more valuable than I realized the day before when it was just something extra that I didn't really need.
Jazakallah khairan. But let's practically also talk about if you really receive this 40 Ferrero Rocher, whatever chocolate, and let's say you're sweet tooth, you like eating sweet stuff. Does it make sense to put a break on yourself to say that I'm not going to eat more than one every day? Or since I like it, whenever it comes to my mind, whenever I feel like it, why shall I not go and grab and put one to my mouth? And if it didn't really satisfy my sugar intake yet, just put another one and put another one. Like, shall we take Nursi's suggestion in here and put a limit on ourselves, saying that I will only eat one every day? What's the benefit of that? Yes.
I mean, I think this is a very human like example, right? Like I think Ahmed bought these biscuits the other day. They were so good. So the next time I ordered 3x the amount of these cookies because they were very good. And I hadn't eaten them in a while actually. I hadn't gotten like the craving for the cookies. But I think the other day I ate 2. And I don't know what I'm gonna do now. Like it's done. Like it's done. Like I don't know if I'm gonna get like that urge again. But when you do space it out, like when you, it doesn't need to be day after day, right? It doesn't need to be like, oh, all 7 days a week. But when you like space something good out, then you have more days to enjoy it, more days to be grateful, as opposed to or like just as an example, like maybe you are grateful those 3 days that you ate all of these cookies or all of these chocolates. You might be grateful, but then like what about all those other days you could have been grateful for it, or you could have gotten enjoyment from them? I think I forgot what the like I think it's not being stingy, you're being almost too selfish. Like you're trying to like hoard it all, and then it ultimately does you harm. But I guess that's not the point of this passage. But yeah, like obviously, like there's so much better. There's so many more opportunities for being grateful and enjoying at a decent pace when you space these things out.
So in this text, then let's connect it to where we started from. So at the very first point, he was mentioning that the opposite of frugality is wastefulness, and wastefulness is disrespect to the bounties. And frugality was respect to the bounties. And now at the point that he brought it, there's a bounty, and to be able to truly respect it, he is suggesting to consume in a frugal way. This is how I am reading it. He's not saying that, well, I can afford it, why not eat more? He didn't say that. Because sometimes this is the attitude. Like, I have a lot of money, and it's halal money, and I can afford buying 3 boxes of cookies. Why not buy it? It's not haram. I'm going like, because our understanding of haram is generally look at the ingredients. Are there any vanilla extract or whatever? Is there just pork products, like certain things, right? If it's not fitting that, it's halal, so why not eat it? But the attitude that's being mentioned in here is that, would you be able to respect it? Would you be able to appreciate it? So spreading it over time, then you will be able to properly appreciate the value of it. Good. Brother Birkan is here. MashaAllah, welcome. Wa alaikum assalam. And Maria had a comment. So she says, in a way, isn't it paradoxical that the frugal example is still a way to satisfy the tongue, but for longer, which was what the first or second point advised against? I think Natalia has answered this in a way that I'm not keeping it longer so that I'm going to have a taste in my mouth for longer, but more so that I'm going to be able to appreciate the bounties of my Creator for longer. So this is, I think, the paradigm shift here. It's not about just entertain myself longer, but to worship my creator longer, because the real taste in this honey, in this chocolate, is getting to know my maker. Just like the real taste of this cup of milk was feeling the warmth of my mom's mercy, not the taste of the milk. Do I see whatever I eat as, like, you can be taking it from shelf of a supermarket, it could be from, I don't know, from a tree, a fruit from a tree, but can I see it as just like how my mother used to give this milk? Do I see it as my creator is serving this to me at the time of my need, and appreciate and enjoy this interaction rather than focusing on the taste itself? Okay. Okay. Any comments, questions? No, everybody is perfectly determined to consume slowly after today, or not interested at all. So, okay, so he made this distinction between frugality and stinginess. Now let's continue with the sixth point then. Yes.
There is a great difference between frugality and stinginess. Just as humility is a praiseworthy quality, superficially resembling but different to the bad quality of servility, and dignity is a laudable virtue, superficially similar to but different from the bad quality of haughtiness. So too, frugality, which was one of Prophet peace be upon him's elevated qualities, and indeed is one of the things on which the divine wisdom in the order of the universe depends, bears no relation to stinginess, which is a mixture of baseness, avarice, miserliness, and greed. There is merely a superficial resemblance. The following is an event corroborating this fact. Abdullah ibn Umar, who was one of the famous companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, known as the Seven Abdullahs, was the greatest and most important of the Caliph Umar Farooq al-Azam's sons, and one of the most distinguished and learned of the companions. One day, while shopping in the market, in order to be economical and to preserve the confidence and integrity on which trade depends, he disputed hotly over something worth a few kurush. One of the companions saw him, and imagining the illustrious successor of the Prophet on earth, the Caliph Umar's son, wrangling over a few kurush to be an extraordinary stinginess, he followed him in order to understand his conduct. Next, he saw that Abdullah was entering his blessed house and had spotted a poor man at the door. He chatted with him for a bit and the man left. Then he came out of the second door of the house and saw another poor man. He chatted with him for a while too and the man left. The companion who was watching from the distance was curious. He went and asked the poor man, Abdullah paused a while with you. What did he do? Each of them replied, he gave me a gold piece. Glory be to God, exclaimed the companion and thought to himself, how is it that he wrangled like that over a few kurush in the market, then was completely happy to give away 200 kurush in his house without letting anyone know? He went to Abdullah ibn Umar and said, O Imam, solve this difficulty for me. In the market you did that, while in your house you did this. Abdullah replied to him, saying, what I did in the market was not stinginess, but arose from frugality. It was perfectly reasonable and to preserve confidence and honesty, which are the basis and spirit of commerce. And what I did by my house arose from the heart's compassion and the spirit's perfection. Neither was the first stinginess, nor the second immoderateness. Alluding to this, Imam Abu Hanifa said, there can be no excess in good, just as there is no good in excess. That is to say, just as in good works and benevolence, there can no excess or wastefulness, on condition they are for the deserving. So there is no good at all in wastefulness and immoderateness.
جزاك الله خيرا. So what do we do with these apparently similar feelings, similar attitudes? Stinginess, frugality, and then what did he say? Humility versus servility. And servility is, I guess, being a base man, like being a low person. Humility is still being down to earth, but the two are quite different in its meaning. Although from outside they look the same, but the meaning that they carry is quite different for the beholder. And then dignity and haughtiness is what he compared next. So dignity versus being arrogant. Yes.
Just to open up the conversation, I think that this is a good example for perhaps adjusting the idea that maybe someone has between like, oh, okay, I'll be frugal. That means I won't spend any money. And so this is a good example to say that like it's not about not giving away your possessions, I guess, because that would be stinginess, because he's very generous with the poor people. So again, one might say like, oh, I'm not gonna give money like somewhere else, but I'm also not gonna give money to the poor. But I guess that's like there is a difference, right? And then that's how he ended it. There's no wastefulness in good deeds, but like, what is it? Yeah, but there's no good in wastefulness. So yeah.
Yeah, any comments, any questions? Yes, Ahmed has a comment.
So it's a question to what we discussed before. Like it just popped in my head related to quantity, right? So like buying in bulk should be fine, right? Because like as long as you like if you buy 2 kg of honey and you don't consume it like in 3 days, it is because like at least in the US or I guess everywhere, like buying in bulk is how you like spend less money. Like Costco sells like 2 kilogram packs of like something, let's say like, and you can buy a smaller pack, but it's like you'll spend less money, but like it's overall more expensive. So again, that's still fine, right? Like that wouldn't be considered excessive if you need it and then like you use it over an appropriate amount of time. Just to clarify.
I think so, yes. So I guess the point in here is being conscious, being thankful, being appreciative. Yeah, so you are being conscious of, as in this example, he was negotiating in the marketplace for properly understanding the price of something. So in the example of Abdullah ibn Umar, so he was negotiating with them. So is this stinginess? He's trying to give less money? No, he says it's not stinginess, it's trying to establish trust, because it looks like maybe you're making price gauging. So I'm trying to really understand where the price is. That negotiation is not bad. Which is a good point, actually, because for me, I would feel weird about negotiating, for instance. I'll be shy of doing this because maybe it's because I try to be nice guy, and then negotiating sounds like I am this stingy guy, or he's just chasing a few, like what's it called, penny pincher type of a person. I don't want to appear such, but this person says no. I would like to establish trust, which is interesting, really. Is there an aspect of observing, getting to know my creator in this negotiating? Because it's a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, negotiating. But why would he negotiate? Just to cut the price? Or was there something that is, again, understanding your creator when you negotiate? So I guess to the extent that we can add those meaning.
I think it's very interesting because like I've seen this a lot, and like especially like when I go back home, like I've seen some elders tell me not to negotiate at these like fruit selling places. But the reason they were using is that like these people are also like trying to earn an honest living, and like if you go to, let's say, a brand store, you don't negotiate there, right? Like you give all that, like if you're buying something expensive, you give all that money to the brand. But this is a person who's taking money home for his kids. So try to be generous there. And now I'm very conflicted. Like if the Prophet used to do it, then there's like, obviously there's some hikmah there. But
so I guess wisdom differs. Like in such a case, now you're talking about that specific people. I think it depends, different things, because in the same example, he talks about the second type of people who were not working, but he was sort of a beggar or a needy person. He goes and gives him 200 times more. So in your example, both of them are mixed. So depending on from which angle you look at it, I guess the answer would change. So in terms of practicality of it. But if you ask me why I do not negotiate, it's none of these reasons. It's just because it's a personality thing. And in terms of personality, sometimes I just want to appear kind, I guess. But me not negotiating is not because, and probably most of the time just because they don't consider me as a troublemaker, annoying guy type of a thing. It has nothing to do with I mean, why am I paying more? Just so that they think that I'm a good guy, pretty much. Like, long story short, this is how it feels like. So there's no further wisdom in there. Yes.
I wanted to share also another thing that I remembered from this, specifically the person saying, like, imagining the illustrious successor of the Prophet on earth wrangling over a few kurush to be an extraordinary stinginess. Like I think that this person was seeing a figure, like a person of stature, and thinking like, why would someone such as this be stingy, right? When that was not the point. Like that's not what he was, like what he was not trying to be stingy. He said he was trying to, what is it, like preserve what the trade was, or preserve the confidence and integrity on which trade depends, right? I was thinking of my parents. They were like, they've climbed throughout their life to better economical situations or financial situations. And I've heard them say, or I've seen this attitude now of like, oh, they're being a little like, they're charging me more. It's fine. I'm better now. Like I have the money now, so I'll just do it. And it's exactly not what you were saying, because like in this case, I think that I'm seeing generosity. In this case that I'm trying to explain is like, I think I'm so big. I think I'm so much better. So like I don't need to be frugal here. But I don't think that that's like, in this case it wouldn't be good. Even the illustrious successor of the Prophet on earth was still like negotiating to be fair, like that's how I would say, like, to be fair, not necessarily that because he has all this money he can just spend it all.
Mm-hmm. And at the end he made a statement in terms of especially being generous to others. In the very last paragraph, alluded to this, Imam Abu Hanifa said, there can be no excess in good, just as there is no good in excess. Maybe the Arabic is going to make more sense for this. La israfa fil khair kama la khayra fil israf. Like there is, like khair and israf are the words that are used in here. Khair is good, israf is wastefulness. That is to say, just as in good works and benevolence, there is no excess or wastefulness, on condition that they are for the deserving, so there is no good at all in wastefulness and immoderateness. I am having this conflicting feeling, for example, when I see, especially in the very wealthy, when they give tip to someone. So is this tip being given, for example, for generosity or for showing of status? And I can apply to myself as well. Like you giving some charity to someone, for especially if that person is needy, is a separate thing. But sometimes I do charity-like things just so that I'm going to be praised or I'm going to feel satisfied. So this is the type of distinction that I need to think about, especially as Sister Dart was mentioning, Ramadan is coming, which became like a food festival. And in there, normally having somebody to have iftar is such a charity. But is it a charity at this point? Like, am I giving food to someone that's in need? Or it's also becoming like a food festival. Many types of food, not being given to, I mean, probably in our environment, it's all students. Maybe it's not that bad. But in our social circles, in wherever we live, in more professional life, in Utah, for example, probably the picture is a little different, right? People invite each other. It's definitely very different in Turkey. You just feed the rich more than you feed the poor during Ramadan. So it becomes this type of a thing. Is it charity? Is a separate question. Any comments from here? Are we all good? If we are all good, we can go to the 7th point. Any comments, questions before we go to 7? If nothing made sense, we can slow down. Since no feedback is coming, I feel like it's too easy. This is why I'm going forward. No? Oh, no to Ali. Okay. Sister Zareen, any comments from you? Okay, there's something there. Good.
I guess I was kind of wondering about this difference between these two seemingly similar qualities, because at first it didn't really make sense to me. Like, if they're so similar superficially, how is it that we can tell that they're such different? Like the difference between stinginess and frugality is so vast. But I guess as I was thinking about it, and thinking about the example, it seems like it takes a bit of like investigation and like a sort of journey, because you can witness something and maybe pass a judgment on the spot and say this is stingy or whatever. But for the companion in this example, he actually took the time to follow Abdullah bin Umar and try to understand his intentions better. So I guess I don't know where I'm trying to go with this, but
Like, shall we
Sure.
run after people and figure out their intentions?
Yeah, I guess like how do
Mm.
how do I make sense? And I guess even within myself, I can find myself questioning like, is this really because I'm appreciating the bounty, or is it really because I'm trying to like hoard something or say that this is better, like this item is better because it's less money, or is it because I really want to appreciate or want to respect things in a way that I only take what I need. So I guess I don't know.
Yes. So it seems then, and the point is not about the individual instances, but how they are connected to each other in your life as well. When you make different decisions at different times, what makes them, they appear this way? I guess that's the question, and you can answer that when you look at, the reasons that you did performing these actions altogether. So, like, I think if you look what is behind of your actions, of our actions. So in previous weeks, we studied one part of it, which is the frugality comes from appreciating the value of the created blessings. Right? We say that this is so valuable, I cannot waste it. I see the art in it. I see the compassion in it. I see the love in it. Right? Something is given to me as a gift, as a blessing, and I'm trying to protect it because it is so valuable. That's one part. For instance, we don't waste water, not because otherwise water will, be depleted. Like we won't have enough water anymore. We have to save. This is not the reason. We don't waste the water because the water is so valuable. The water is so big blessing gifted to us, and we value every drop of it. It doesn't matter if we have the city covered by the water or not. We would still value every single drop of it. Right? So we value it. We see the value in it because it is given a blessing, a gift for us, such a the beautiful gift. We don't want to waste it. But now at the same time, on the other hand, now we're talking about the stinginess, which is putting before the stinginess, maybe just to complete the picture. So what is the opposite of frugality in the first, the sense then? Not giving any value. You say, I have that much money, and more money will come because, my father still has more, or my husband, or my wife, or my parents, or whatever. It's coming still, the source is bigger than my pocket. So I don't value it. I can, throw it anywhere I want. That's the opposite of the frugality. So in the second sense, now we are learning, when we compare it with the stinginess, the stinginess is attaching to something, being attached to something. Right? I say, oh, no, this is mine, and I don't want to lose it. It's not just, saying that it is so beautiful, it is a gift for me, I have to protect it. But no, you now attribute it to yourself. So it's mine. I cannot, let it go. So I have to keep it with me. Otherwise, I will lose it. It is so limited. Again, you're cutting the connection with the source, which is limitless. You're cutting in and you said that it's so limited and it's mine. I have to protect it. Hence, I will not share it with others. So this is the stinginess. In contrast to that, we now learn something more about the frugality. The frugality is
not to claiming any ownership, right? But protecting it because it's a gift, but at the same time knowing that it's not limitless, it's not limited. It's coming from a source that is limitless. I'm not afraid of using it. It's not anymore losing it, right? When you give your the piece of gold to a needy person, for instance, you don't think it as a losing, but you take it as using. It was given to me, it was gifted to me. Now, whoever gave it to me, right, for me to learn something, now he asked me to use it in another purpose. Now I say, okay, it's gift anyway. And now I'm expected to gift it to someone else, right? And I know that wherever it is coming, there is more. I'm not afraid of losing. So I use it. For that reason, right, in Islamic finance, for instance, in the true sense, not, this made up Islamic finances today, but in the true sense, the money needs to be circulating. You cannot hoard it. I mean, not do's and don't sense, but you shouldn't hoard it. Why? Because you need to use it. You shouldn't be afraid of losing it. It has a purpose. It should travel around so that everybody will experience how things are being gifted, etc. And you are not afraid. You are not stingy. But at the same time, as the example, that explains, there needs to be an integrity of this travel, of this circulation. Why? Because everything needs to be based on wisdom. That's what we observe in the creation. So we cannot go against it. The one who gives us all these things, creates everything with a wisdom. We observe it, and we try to protect this wisdom that we observe. Right? Again, in Islamic, the economy, the finance, the economy itself is a belief system. It's not made of, the values. The people trust each other. There is a reciprocal belief, right? Whatever the value of the object, not the object, but the thing, product, right? It should be close to the reality. If you try to, adjust it according to your desires, what you are doing, you are hurting the belief system. So you are hurting the wisdom, the measure in the creation. In everything, like everywhere else, when we observe the creation, we see that the creation is with a measure. Whatever the need for a tree, for instance, how much let's say the azote molecules it needs, that much is given. How much sunlight is needed, that much is given. Right? There's always a measure. So in our actions, again, we try to do the same thing. Why? Because we respect how things are being created. So in that sense, it always boils down to values. How we value things? Frugality. We want to protect its value, right? But on the other hand, if you attribute it to yourself and it becomes your value, it becomes stinginess.
Yeah. And as a follow-up to Sister Zarian's comment, I think the main point in here is to have this introspection and check for yourself. Why did I do this? Like, did I do this for, what was my motivation for that? It could sometimes just be you giving your time for someone. Was it a charity? Was it a waste? Was this really needed? Or, and waste in this case could be, I don't know, if I am just giving this time for different reasons. It might be that I will feel good about it, or this person is so nice, he spent his time with me. Maybe this is what I'm willing to hear from. And you don't even need to hear it verbally. You just see that in their eyes. Oh, what a nice person. He spent your time with me and whatnot. Or was it charity? So I think these are all important things to consider, so that we are consciously thankful about what we are experiencing. Otherwise, life is getting wasted. I think this is going to be the hugest waste that happens. Because today I was talking to an undergrad at Drexel. I said, how is life? He said, it's just going. He said, may Allah make your life, give barakah to your life. Because barakah means what? Making it plenty. Something limited becomes plenty. But what is happening with our lives, though? It's just getting less and less as you age, as if you are using and consuming, and it's just what all the days that are past, they're gone. So it's not increasing, it's decreasing. So how can I make the moments that I am living infinite? How can I make a good investment with the life that I live so that it will multiply, increase rather than decreasing? So that's why may Allah give barakah to my life means may Allah make my life plenty. How would this happen? So this is how, if I can appreciate, I mean, being a friend with Arsalan is an experience that I do in life, or family life. Like this is an experience that I live. It could be wasted, perfectly wasted, just by saying, oh, cute children, nice wife and whatnot, and just it passes by. If I just look at it on the horizontal level of experiencing and letting it go, it gets wasted. But how do I increase it? How can it get more? If I start seeing it as a gift of my creator, a bounty of my creator, then this is what stays behind. That appreciation stays behind. Just like I digested the milk that my mom gave me 20, 30 years ago, but what stayed with me from that was the appreciation that I had from that experience. So appreciation of my creator with any of those experiences is what stays behind. And this is infinite. Because it always stays, and the giver, the provider is alive, like he is high, he is alive, he is existing, and he is also my source of existence. So as such, life becomes infinite. Actually, this is why believer never gets stuck in time. For believer, past is future. Like believer's past is not dead. Believer's past is still alive. You can still enjoy a gift of your creator to you from 10 years ago and still be happy and thankful to your creator for what you experienced 10 years ago. As if it's still with you. Like life, even as you are living the life here, believer's life is not just the moment. Believer's life becomes can become your entire lifetime. But a disbeliever's life is just live the moment, because past is gone, future is non-existent, you only have the moment. Just try to get as much joy from the moment as you can, because it's just going. You better do your best. Eat as much Ferrero Rocher at the moment, because you don't know if you're going to have it the next moment. So you better just put more into your mouth. And this definitely has a consequence, which is you get weary of this taste, as he said. The king gets weary of this taste, and it's not tasting that good anyways. Even it's backfiring on you as you try to get more taste. So peace is in Islam. That's a cliche word in Turkish. I mean, those who understood Turkish would laugh at this, but anyway. Okay. That's why he was laughing.
No, I was laughing to the example you gave about your mom's milk.
Oh.
Yeah, you said 20, 30 years ago you were sucking your mom's milk,
Oh no, okay.
which makes it like 10 years.
I mean, I'm young. How old am I? Like, do I look like any older than 27? Yeah. I'm probably even, anyway. Today after Juma, I was talking to Imam, and Imam said, "What do you study, brother?" I don't know. Aging, you would say. Aging is what I study. Yeah. Okay. We have 15-ish minutes, but I think we can start 7th point. Yes. How about let's start reading 7th point.
Can I just ask one question?
Sure.
Yeah, sorry. I was just thinking, we were just talking about the milk thing, right? So I was just thinking, like, if I consume, let's say, lentils and rice every night, I will get bored of it. That's being frugal still, because I'm not actually wasting my money on expensive food. But if I, in one of those 30 days, I actually, let's say, have biryani or like really expensive sushi, let's say, yeah, I might actually enjoy that. I'll be more appreciative of it. So I'm being more appreciative of that food than the lentil and rice. So I'm not sort of actually understanding like where's the frugal part in this now, because I'm not wasting, but I'm still more appreciative of the expensive food once in that 30 days.
Before you answer, let's make sure that it's not an implicit criticism of his wife's food.
No,
And
it's amazing.
asking for more different foods. If this is the case, I refuse to talk about it.
Is it lentil and meaty rice or just lentil?
Of course, he makes everything.
Good. So, any ideas? Anyone from there? Any lentil experience?
So Jazakallah khairan, very good point, because when you use the word appreciation, like a first time it clicked in my mind, like after all these weeks, I realized something, that we were just using the word appreciation without maybe explaining what even we mean, because, and we assume that everybody understands the same thing when we say appreciate something. Because, so Jazakallah khairan, very important point. I think when we say appreciating its value or appreciating something, we shouldn't understand the appreciating the thing itself. In your example, for instance, you're talking about the appreciating the food or appreciating the taste. You're assuming that there's something in the food itself that the praiseworthy. For instance, a luxury, a food prepared in a luxury restaurant by a famous chef, right, has a value in it. And when I eat it, my taste bud, what is it called? Buds, taste buds, they activates more, and I'm attracted towards that. I want this. This is what appreciation mean in your example. That's what I understand, right? So it is actually then maybe almost the opposite. Like I say, almost out of humility, maybe I'm missing something. Otherwise, I would say definitely opposite of what the appreciation meant in the text. When we say appreciation, it's the appreciating the value, the artful creation of the thing. So the lentil, right? Or let's say the olive, because it's easy for me. I studied it, I like olive a lot. So I spent a lot of time thinking about the olive.
He eats a lot of it.
It's not holding, because I eat it like nothing is there. So when you think about the olive, like everything coming from the tree, right? It stays there for a long time. And then when you collect it, it's still, the process going on so that it becomes the olive that you eat. And you can apply this to any food, by the way, like nothing will change. To give you an olive, right, whoever is creating this olive brings sunlight from, the other end of our, the galaxy, whatever, the solar system, right? Bring it, put it in the olive, and then brings all these nutritions through the earth and process it in the tree, right? All this time is passing, etc. Interaction with the wind, everything, when you think about it. The skin of it, how it protects what is inside, and the taste of the inside, It is the creation itself. It is so complex. And it is being done just to give you this olive. Just one olive. Imagine your wife, right, preparing a food for you, and she's bringing all the ingredients from the best places she can find. She's not going just to one, the supermarket, Acme, Aldi, whatever you prefer. But Trader Joe's, okay. I forgot, the apple. Yeah. Your sweater should reminded me. So she goes to Trader Joe's, right? If the Whole Foods is closed. She goes there and buy everything from there and prepare your food. No, this is not the case. She says, oh no, for starch, I need to go to this store because it's best there. For salt, I need to go to Himalayas, right? Because he likes the pink salt. So I will bring it from there, etc. Imagine such a process to prepare it and put in front of you. The taste, of course, is important, but now secondary. What is important? The process, the value of the creation of the food now, right? The first appreciation is now about this. And when you really appreciate that, I promise you, whatever she cooked, even right after you get married and this is the first time, she's trying, it will taste so good. I promise you, when you appreciate it in that sense, right? With the creation itself, it's even better. Best things put together in the best way, and even the taste is so good. With the olive, for instance, it's like, it's like a taste festival in your mouth, just one olive. So the appreciation is not the olive, or appreciation of the olive. We're not talking about that. We're talking about how olive is given as a blessing. This is the appreciation. So now apply it to lentil. If you can appreciate the lentil in this way, again, I promise you, you will not get bored. Because there is infinitely many dimensions of the lentil, right? One day you will appreciate one aspect, another day you will appreciate another aspect, and then another, and then another. In the ideal case, of course. In a non-ideal case, after a certain point, you will probably get bored. But you will be at the same time ashamed, not, let's say, because you are guilty, but because such a valuable thing, and I cannot see the value anymore, right? Now you will switch to something else just to refresh your mind. You will say, okay, let me try with something else, and then you will appreciate it again. But it's not because you get bored of the taste and you want something better. It is like, okay, I learn everything I can learn, at least for now. And I stop there, and I don't want to stop learning about my creator. Let me switch to something else. But it doesn't matter whether it is more luxurious or not. So when we say appreciation, we're talking about that. Otherwise, I appreciate, I don't know, design of the car. I appreciate the color of, my jacket. No, this is not the point.
Jazakallah khairan. How old are you?
36
How many mothers did you change during those 36 years?
mothers.
Yeah. Same mom?
Yeah.
You didn't get bored of her?
Alhamdulillah.
So, I mean, you do appreciate her. So, like, you didn't say, well, I mean, same mom, let's find another mom.
It's not like we had
It's not like that was a dangerous thing, because the next example would have been about spouses. Yeah. So, but this is the point, right? Because people do get bored of spouses, but why? Because to the extent that you focus on just the looks, and the look, I mean, see the look, like as we age, like hairs go and whatnot. So
I thought you would keep saying that you cannot reach his level.
oh yeah. So then, yeah, if there is an option as well, we say, oh, let's increase the types or I don't know, different flavors. But if I start seeing or appreciating, because what can you appreciate in this person? As long as you start observing meaning rather than just this transitory tastes, then as aging happens, it's going to become even more joyful. So I think this is the example. So there were first Sister Zaha. Where's the microphone?
Microphone's there.
Okay. Oh.
That's to the point that Brother Burkham was making about, when we switch from lentils to something else, like you can do it after you learn everything you can about that particular, like whatever is given to you. If you feel like you've learned everything you can about the creator or connected in every way you can, like how to appreciate the creator or the provider through that. But is that even possible? So I feel like I'm trying to understand, where can we aspire for something better, or feel like we have a need for something different, when we can already like there's no way to exhaust the number of lessons that you can take from what you're given already. But then at the same time, I don't think anybody's advising everyone to live a stagnant life and just be like every day we have to constantly, we are needy, we are given more needs, but we can still continue to learn from what we have. So I'm having difficulty connecting like how to understand needs that are constantly being given to us on top of already other needs being fulfilled.
One thing that I would like to mention, I think in these discussions, this happens a lot. We take it as science experiments, and okay, here's the formal description and definition of something. So how do I apply it? 2 + 3 is 5, -1 is 4. Like it starts feeling like equations. I would suggest to put myself in the picture, and what we are talking about, yes, sounds theoretical, but practically, how do I do that? Where am I? Where can I have been? I guess this is more type of a thing. What I mean by that is, like cheese. Sister Zarin was like fond of cheese, let's say. How can I appreciate this? How much can I appreciate that? I will try to add this into my consumption of cheese, and I can question myself, how much of this consumption was mindless, and how can I make it more thankful and appreciative of its provider and sustainer? And then put a break to myself if I feel like I am starting to consuming without appreciating. Putting a more proper word for this, mindlessly consuming it just for the moment, for the sake of the moment. Then I would like to I should try to test myself, put a break there so that I train myself to the habit of if you're not going to appreciate it, you better not waste it, meaning you don't use it. Because if you use it, you will be wasting it. It's just going away without being even noticed, which is waste. As much as I start putting this into practice, I think I will start finding some sort of a balance in my life. Today, maybe I am eating, 50 different type of things in my life today. Maybe at some point I'm going to start settling down in, since the example was rice and lentil, it sounds super unreachable. But let's say I am eating 50 different type of things and I'm not even appreciating a bunch of them. But putting some break to the most extravagant ones of these will start embedding some sort of appreciation to some of those out there. Maybe I'm not going to end up with lentil and rice, but even if something more reasonable, let's call it 30. I used to be 50, like 50 different things I used to eat. Maybe now I am reducing it because I'm realizing that many of them are like this is how it happens sometimes. They bring food type, some sort of a food that I'm not very, enthusiastic to eat about. But let's say Arsalan does it. What would I say? Thank you for this gift. He will appreciate it more. So give it to him. Like sometimes you have this sort of an attitude, right? So as I start developing this sort of a thing, what is the goal? Whatever is in my life that I'm interacting with, that I'm consuming, I would like to make it something that I can appreciate. If I do not appreciate it, I don't want to waste it. Just reaching this awareness should be the goal, rather than trying to come up with a crystal clear, no waste, zero waste life. Because as we start conditioning ourselves to this, which is alien to us at this moment, it feels like, what are we talking about in here? It's so far away from me. So since topic is so practical, I would suggest to just calm down a little bit, try to see how much you can do it with. We'll be eating fruit in a second. Just when eating fruit, how can I apply this, for example? Trying to apply it practically and trying to put purpose, appreciation in whatever I consume, and being vigilant not to consume if I'm not able to appreciate. I think this will eventually make us converge somewhere. This would be my answer overall. It's not a specific answer to your question in this per se, but I think this might, if we start developing this sort of a sense, we will eventually converge somewhere which fits yourself, which fit me, and the answer is going to be different for you and me. Because of your social status is different, mine is different. Probably what's going to be appreciable by me is going to be different than what's appreciable to you. You will be your judge, I'll be my judge. But how do I develop this sense? Slowly, but trying to put this into our lives. We are doing this right now because we are going towards Ramadan. So let's try to make this Ramadan not a food festival. This would be a gain, for example. If we can make this year's Ramadan not a food festival for ourselves, I think this would be very fruitful. Even when you go for a free food event in MSA, and there are 10 different types of food, would you be able to put a break for yourself and say that, let me try to only take 3 types, and while eating them, I will put a break to my desire, which immediately wants to eat, but I will eat a little slow so that I try to realize and appreciate sustainer provider. I think if we can achieve this for 1 or 2 iftars out of 30, that would be a good output of these discussions. Yeah.
I just had a very quick question about that, actually, because there's also like, I tend to be more like, okay, this is enough. But then they're like, there's so much food waste. You need to eat more. Like, And I'm out here like, but I'm full. And they're like, but this food is going to waste. So I struggle actually in the spectrum of that too, is that like in one hand, you're told actually to eat right before your full stop. And then somebody else is like, but if you don't eat this food, look at all this food that does go to waste. And actually we do see that food end up going to waste. So there's also like a bit of struggle in that, and especially in these kind of space, which is I think more realistic for us, is where there's excess food, but then if you undereat, somebody's telling you like you could be the reason for some of this waste.
Yeah, that's why we should say, yeah, next time order less food. Because as we keep eating more, they keep ordering the same amount. So somehow this cycle needs to be broken. You had a comment at some point.
So you can get to that appreciation while eating biryani and sushi too, right? Like it doesn't need to be like
Okay, you want to
I-
eat?
no, I feel like even olives, let's take for example, right? You appreciated the sunlight coming to the olive, you appreciated the nutrients, like you start a completely different outlook towards that olive. And I think you can apply the same thing to biryani too. Like you can appreciate the ginger in there more, you can appreciate the chicken. Oh, it tastes even better when it's with this spice. And this is from this tree. You know, like you can go down this path. I truly think like at least my understand. I don't think the point is to just keep on eating lentils and trying to appreciate it in 1,000 different ways. Like, yes, that's a part of it, but I think you can do that with anything. But that like, yeah, I don't see eating sushi and biryani as wrong when you can appreciate lentils like a lot. No, but like I think, like you said just before this comment, like the point is to start developing that appreciation instead. Like, don't just keep on eating the biryani for the flavor. Like it's try to appreciate the sunlight too behind it.
And the example we read 2 weeks ago with Sheikh Jilani. So if you can really, when you say to raise to the cooked chicken and chicken jumps out of the plate, then you should be eating biryani. What's the point in there really, if you think about it, is this biryani, is it a dead chicken or is it a live chicken? Like, do you see it as it's connecting you to creator? Yes, then you can eat. But am I there is a question that you and I, we need to answer. But yes, of course you can. If it's a theoretical question, yes, you can. Prophet ate meat, cooked meat. It was luxury. It was not every day's food, but he did eat this. Of course you will. But the question is, you will answer this. I will answer this for myself. Am I appreciating it, or is it just word in my tongue, or is it some intellectual conclusion in my mind? Just like I mean, you see such people, right? They bring in rows. Like I see such pictures in Instagram or something. The guy has a lot of like rose in his hand going to his like wife, and they say, "Oh, what the heck did he did? That he's coming up with this to cover it up. Like this is not a sincere gift, but just some sort of a cover up." Am I covering up my guilt with my words or thoughts, or am I thoroughly convinced and thoroughly appreciating? So the topic of this is not to fake God. What's going on? You know what's going on. If you are good, go ahead. I think this is the answer. Yes.
But you can work on developing that thorough appreciation too, right?
Yeah.
Like just because you're not there yet doesn't mean, oh, I'm gonna just stop eating biryani and I will go back to lentils. And eventually in 10 years, when I reach there, I'll eat biryani. Like, I don't think that's the point.
It's not practical, at least. Let's put it this way. It's not practical. You will never do it anyways. Even if in here we conclude that this is the case, you will never do it anyways. But yes.
You can start at least, right? Like,
I mean, putting a break today to something in my life, not to everything, but there might be something in your life, putting a break to this, meaning not a heartbreak, but reducing it just because at least to be aware that I was doing this mindlessly. And to be able to appreciate it, let me slow it down. Let me partially take it out of my life. And by out of my life, I mean, what do they say? Just eating something when you just feel like it. There's a name for it. Anyways, like impulsive eating. So impulsive eating, impulsive many things, like impulsive Instagram, we do many things impulsive mindlessly. So putting a break to say that, what am I doing? Why am I living life in the first place? This is what's happening with my students. They come to my office. Their entire life is mindless choices. Entire life, including what major they choose, including which person they're hanging out with. Everything is mindless choices. And when I ask a few questions, they say, oh, this is the first time. Nobody talks like this. So putting a break in this regard to such stuff is a good wake-up call, a practice that we need to develop. Like I have seen people, I lived with certain people who have been extremely careful about anything that they interact with. To me, it was very tiring even to live with them. Like, how can you be like become so nitpicky about such small stuff? There was one brother who was opening and closing the faucet each and every time he was taking wudu, which was making me go nuts. So I said, like, this is just, I mean, I cannot stand that. He does it. Like, it's impossible for me. And I'm wasting a lot of water when taking wudu. But at least putting some sort of a break to certain things makes me develop this sense. To the extent I can develop this, I will benefit from it. But the point is that as we are speaking black and white, don't go to the other extreme of like lentil and rice and then say that, well, it's impossible. I cannot do that. I cannot open and close faucet each and every time. Therefore, I do it the way I know it. Like this, we shouldn't jump from one end to the other end. That's why when we speak in terms of black and white. Yes, I mean, we cannot stop you purchasing stuff from Trader Joe's or eating sushi or something. It's good. It's okay. But at least I should say that maybe I should try myself to put a break so that my appreciation of sustainer provider increases over time. Because such a discussion, speaking about it, even if we speak about it for hours, doesn't change as much. We need to start changing ourselves by leaving small things which impulsively I consumed. Small things will start making big changes in us. So if it is biryani for you, it's biryani for you. If it is Ferrero chocolate for someone, it is that. Like something needs to be there. Sisters, I had a question or comment. No, you're done. Okay. So let's any concluding remarks. So we are 10 minutes of time. Let's finish, inshallah. Inshallah, next week we will continue our 7th point. Oh, sorry. There was one very valuable comment from Sister Maria. Let's conclude with that. So she says, if the appreciation is the key to the value and respect of bounties, and that gratitude can outlast a bounty, like I consumed it, but gratitude is still with me. Could we also redeem the value of a bounty we didn't appreciate in the past by being grateful for it now? And if the answer to that is yes, does that mean that there is always hope to redeem gratitude and value for things that are gone in the present? So very beautiful, actually, alhamdulillah. This is why believers' life really becomes eternal at the moment. And just like you can do, let's say somebody becomes Muslim at age, I don't know, 30, 40, then starts making qada of the past prayers or past fasting and whatnot. I wasted many things in the past. I was not grateful for many things that were done in the past. I can make qada of, just like you can do qada of prayers, make qada of those past ungratefulnesses. Now I can turn back and become grateful for them and fulfill my duty of worship, so that those moments which passed away becomes eternal light at the moment for me. So this is how beautiful, actually, to conclude with this. When somebody enters to Islam, their past sins are like being forgiven. And even Quran mentions يُبَدِّلُ اللَّهُ سَيِّئَاتِهِمْ حَسَنَاتٍ. Their bad deeds are converted into good deeds. How does this happen? With repentance. You take a lesson. You did something wrong in the past, but with a sincere repentance to this past, that past moment's bad experience is becoming thankfulness and worship to your creator. This is how a bad deed is converted into a good deed. So it's very practical, actually. It's not simply somebody goes and says, oh, you got minus 100 at some point, just multiply it with minus, and now it's plus 100. Good, go ahead. It's not simply a numerical trick. Actually, it's a very practical thing from our lives. جزاكم الله خيرا سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين الفاتحة